Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought it would be fun to show you how I created a custom window card. And you can do this with any of your small images and your smaller dies. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm taking the largest and the smallest rectangles from the Art Impressions Rectangle A2 double stitch dies. We'll set that smaller one aside for now. And then with this larger one, I'm going to be die cutting it from the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. I've placed it on a little bit of an angle just to make that easier to run through my die cutting machine. Now we need a few more small squares here, so I'm just going to grab a variety of those, and those are from the square double stitch die set. For stamps, I'm using the Art Impressions Matchbook Garden set, and you can see all these cute little images you get. And these are all designed to go inside these little matchbooks, and you can see that there. And I have several videos of the matchbooks as examples. If you want to check that out, you can just go to my blog and you'll see many of those. So now what I'm going to do is just see if I've selected the right sizes here for my images. So I'm going to just place these just temporarily here on each of these dies, just so I can see which ones are going to fit and if I need to change out any of those sizes. And here you can see that I did decide to go back and grab that second smallest rectangle as well. So now those little tiny birds should fit in that smallest frame, and I'm going to be doing 2 of those. But first, let's lay this out just to see where everything's going to be positioned. And you can see that those stamps have little tabs on them, and that again is for the matchbook. And we're going to be cutting those away, so don't worry about those little tabs that are hanging off the sides of those stamps there. So I played around with this quite a bit until I decided on the layout that I wanted to use. And again, just placing those stamps on there just makes it a lot easier to figure out if your layout is going to work or not. So now I've got some washi tape here, and I'm going to start positioning these down. I'll tape these into place. And then I'll be coming in with my T-square ruler just to make sure that these are all nice and straight before I run these through the die cutting machine. So right now I'm just laying them out pretty much where I want them. And then again, I'm coming in with that T-ruler and just checking that they are going straight across. And that's really quick and easy to do, and it's kind of an important step because then everything would be lined up properly. So I've run those through the die cutting machine, and now you can see here I'm going to run that second square, that little square, through one more time. So I did decide here to pop out everything that I had already die cut, and now all I have to do is that one little square. So now we have our custom frame. So let's go ahead and stamp these images now. I'm using the Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'm inking these up. This is a permanent black ink, and I am stamping again on that Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. Now I'm using a variety of colors here. These are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I've just grabbed a whole bunch of different colors here. Now I will list all of those colors for you down below, and all of the products I'm using today will be listed down below and linked below, and also on my blog. So I didn't want to bore you with each color here since everything is so tiny, but I did provide you all the colors. And I'm using my Zig blender pen to do my blending here. Think about all of the small images that you may have that you're not sure what to do with. Maybe you've created a background with them and you want to do something else. Even these little matchbooks, they're so cute, but there are other ways to use these images. So to create your own custom frame card, I think, is a really fun way to go. And it doesn't have to just be rectangles. You could do circles, a combination of circles, squares, rectangles, whatever you want to do. So just have some fun with this. And on a slimline card, this would be really fun because you have a lot more space to work in. So you could go to a larger card to do this as well. And then keep in mind that through those openings, you could also create a shaker card. So you could just separate each of those little areas, those little openings, and create your own little shaker card, which would be also really fun to do. So again, just kind of have fun, look through your images. You know that I love using my images in different ways. Once I have a stamp set, I like to make sure that I can use it many different ways, not just the way that it was intended, even though I absolutely love the matchbooks, and you probably know that because I've made so many of them. And I just think they're adorable and fun. But again, using your images in another way just stretches out the use of your stamps. And you could mix and match these as well. So you don't have to stay with this one set. You could look through your other sets and mix and match any of your matchbooks together or any of your tiny images. So I will finish up my coloring here and I'll meet you on the other side of that. that finishes up the coloring. And I just wanted to show you quickly, these are all the colors that I used today. So let's take a closer look at the coloring here. And again, you can see those little tabs there, and we're going to be removing those. But first, let's go ahead and use the coordinating dies, because that'll die cut most of the detail for us. So I'm running those through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. And then here you can see, well, I hope you can see, I'm a little bit off camera there, but I'm just cutting away those little tabs. And again, those are to be folded and placed into your matchbook. But we don't need those, so I'm just using a detail scissors to cut those tabs off. And on this little bucket, there's one right at the bottom, so I'm just trimming that away. So you can see we have everything die cut there. Let's take some pattern papers. We're using that pretty yellow, and we're also going to use the polka dots with the yellow and orange combination. And this is the Watercolor Wishes Rainbow Petite paper pack from Fawn. I'm using that largest die again, the one that we used earlier, and I'm going to tape that down with some washi tape, and I'll run that through the die cutting machine. And then I'll run a second one of those through on that polka dot cardstock. Now that we have both of these, you can see that yellow paper is going to sit behind our little openings, and this polka dot pattern paper is going to sit on the front. We're going to be gluing these two panels together. So for right now, I'm temporarily taping them together with some purple tape. And that's just so I can line up my dies exactly. So I'm popping those right into place. They kind of lock into place almost. So you just want to push those right down into those openings and tape those down with some washi tape. And then again, I can run this through the die cutting machine. And this is just to give a little more substance to our front panel. That polka dot paper is kind of on the thin side. So with this Bristol Smooth cardstock behind it, that'll just give a little more substance to our frame. So I'm going to just go ahead and glue these two together. And I've used some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue these together, and that just gives me a little time to move this around if I need to, because I do want to make sure it's lined up really well. So again, you can see how this is going to fit together. Now I've got a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. So that'll be a standard A2 size card. I'm just pressing that out with the bone folder, and that'll measure 4 1/4 by 5.5. Now I've got this panel with the yellow paper on it, and I'm going to glue that right to the front of the card. And now our frame, we're going to pop up this frame. So I'm using some Scotch foam mounting tape. I've put plenty of it on there. I want to make sure that it stays up nicely. So I've got lots of little chunks of that foam tape on here. And then I'm going to line those two up and tape that down. Now I've got all my little images, which I'm going to go ahead and pop those right into place. I'm using, again, that same adhesive. Now, as I mentioned before, this would make a cute little shaker card. So this would be really fun. You would just have to add some acetate and some little sequins to complete a little shaker card. So keep that in mind as well. That's also another kind of fun way to go. So let's add the little birds here. So I'll put one kind of at the top of this little stack of items here. And then I'll put one in each of these little square openings. And then I did add a few enamel dots from the Hero Hues collection, and I'll show you that at the very end. So let's grab the Art Impressions Birdhouse Cubby set, and we're just going to grab those two flowers, that large and small flower. And then I'm going to my watercolor travel box. You get 3 acrylic blocks and you get a little watercolor palette, and it comes in this little box as well. And I'm just going to grab that medium size acrylic block, and let's go ahead and stamp a few of these. I just need 3, so I'm inking these up with the Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'll stamp this a couple of times. Then again, I'll do some quick coloring here, just adding a little bit of color in the center of the flowers, adding a little bit of that yellow. And then I'll pull that out towards the edges of my petals. And then I added a little bit more of a shadow there and pulled that out. So I did that for all 3 of those. I have 1 of the large ones and 2 of the smaller ones. Again, I'll tape those down and run those through the Sizzix Sidekick machine. Now I'll use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue down these 2 little ones. And then I'm going to pop up that larger one with some Scotch foam mounting tape. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's just going to bring a little bit more interest to the front of the card. And there you can see that I had glued down all those little enamel dots, and I used that kind of yellowy color one. And that just fills in those little spaces a little bit better and adds a little bit of a whimsical touch there. And I will go ahead and add those same little enamel dots to each of those flowers. So let's take a closer look at the finished card. And these images are just so cute, and they fit perfectly in these little frames. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.